youtube.com/wakeupcall DT. Very happy to have you here with us, like I said, as always, for the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour that comes to you every single Wednesday in extended bonus content from 9:45 to 11 a.m. Eastern time with Mike Sofka of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com and myself, Dan Tortora of WakeUpCallDT.com. We're in week 9, hard to believe, of fantasy football here for the 2021-2022 season. Let's bring in the man of the hour, Mr. Sofka. How are we doing?
Doing wonderful. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing very well. And you know, Mike, good to have you here as always. Good to obviously have the conversation. We're going to jump right into Thursday Night Football. Jets at the Colts. What do you got?
Yeah, I like what performance Mike White had in the last game. Now, you know, of course, the Jets did make a move and got Joe Flacco, but I don't see how they cannot give Mike White, you know, another start with Zach Wilson not being ready to go back after he had a couple touchdowns, 405 yards, and a 2-point conversion on a trick play. The guy was playing out of his mind. Well, at least for people who aren't familiar with Mike White. Look, I like the Jets because I think they can take that momentum and build off it, but that's asking a lot when you go into Indianapolis to face Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, I have number 12 on the quarterback rankings this week. Mike White, 27. And then over at running back, Jonathan Taylor, he's just a consummate RB1. That's the guy you like to have in your lineup all the time, of course. He's number 4 on the rankings here. I got Michael Carter all the way up to 14, and Ty Johnson is a popular pickup this week as well at number 36 on the rankings. And then at wide receiver, it's a little bit different. Michael Pittman, names some people may not have known before this year in reality, but Michael Pittman, of course, number 13 on my ranking here. And then for the Jets, it's been kind of a mixed bag, led by Jamison Crowder at number 31 on my ranking. And then as far as the tight end goes, maybe a Mo Cox is, you know, can help you, but he's very red zone dependent. He's a touchdown or nothing type kind of guy. So I don't know if I can play any tight ends in this game, but I'm going to have to go, even though the Jets are hot, even though Mike White played really well, I'm just going to have to go with the Colts at home.
Yeah, you know, Mike White, and as you said, Mike, you brought up a good point when you said, you know, he played well for those who don't know him, because the reality of the fact is now teams have film and now teams can get to know him, and it's always how do you adjust, right? How do you adjust when and there, you know, there's a misconception when Colin Kaepernick, he was good, and he got figured out in the Super Bowl, and in the second half of the Super Bowl, after he got figured out, he was never the same for the next 2 years. Because people figured out how he played. And so, you know, can you adjust once people figure you out? Lamar Jackson, you know, people thought, okay, well, he was a phenom coming into the league. Nobody expected this. I would take that nobody out and say that I very much supported him. You know that from the moment that he, you know, from him at Louisville to going into the draft, I said repeatedly, I don't care if anybody agrees with me, Lamar Jackson is going to translate to the NFL. And he got, you know, people figured out what he did, but he can still beat you. So it's, what are you going to do once people start to figure it out? What's Mike White going to do once people start to, you know, figure it out and that they get to know him? And he's not just this guy that's this unnamed backup. You know, how will he respond when teams have that film on him? So that's a question that, you know, he's going to have to answer as we move forward here. But knowing that the Jets are going up against the Colts, this game looks a little bit better thanks to the fact that Mike White made the game so interesting. Now, Zach Wilson's PCL injury is what sidelined him here. Michael Carter still has value, but I think as a running back 3 or 4, I did tell you that he would be the starter as a rookie coming out of North Carolina, somebody I covered who went up against Syracuse. I said he would be a starter before the end of the season, and I was very confident it was going to happen, you know, sooner than later, and here he is as your starter right now. I like Michael Carter, like I said, more probably as a flex. I like Jamison Crowder as a lower flex, and I would agree with you, Mike, that there's nobody that I would play at tight end. For the Colts, Carson Wentz has been making a lot of mistakes and not closing out games. You know, you saw what happened with Tennessee. You saw what happened, you know, week before that. So Jonathan Taylor, and interesting, Marlon Mack was not dealt, but Jonathan Taylor, obviously worth the play. Michael Pittman Jr. is coming up as I hoped he would. So the value's in Taylor. There's some value in Pittman as a wide receiver 3. And on the Jets, it's really only Michael Carter. if I had to choose, which I do because we're playing this game here, this is very tough for me to make a distinction between the Jets and the Colts because I'm not a big fan of either. But if you got to put my feet to the fire, I'm going to go with the home team, and I'm going to pick the Colts at home. So I'm gonna agree with you, Mike, and I'm gonna go with the Colts at home, just because of the fact that I think they'll have a little bit of a slight edge being in familiar territory. Next game up that we have here, Cleveland at Cincinnati. Cincinnati coming off of a massive win over Baltimore, 41-17, not what people expected, and Cleveland reeling from the fact that Odell hasn't done much of anything, Baker Mayfield hasn't been healthy, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt have both been out at times. What's going on with Cleveland's offense, and do you trust anybody this week?
Yeah, I do for fantasy-wise. I want to see this game. This is going to be for the Battle of Ohio here, and the thing I like about this is one of those games where you can throw out the records and all that. It doesn't, nothing matters. This is your home state pride. So I really look forward to watching this game. I like Baker Mayfield. Looked pretty good for a guy that has all sorts of shoulder problems on his non-throwing arm. He looked pretty good in that last game. I got him 18 on a ranking. Joe Burrow's having quite a year, though, especially when he hooks up with Jamar Chase. We'll get to him in a minute, but I got Joe Burrow at 13. And then Nick Chubb, he's the guy that's back. Number 12 on the ranking this week. I think Kareem Hunt is still going to be out, and I think you're going to see a little Dearness Johnson. I think you're going to keep him fresh, keep him in the rotation for the change of pace there. But I'm not sure I could start him maybe as an emergency flex. Looking at the wide receivers, Jamar Chase. He's a big play guy. He's a big time player. He really is. Number 7 on the rankings. And then Cleveland. I'm watching these talking heads on TV this morning. And it's, oh, Odell this, and you see something online how the Browns are hurting OBJ's legacy. Just stop. Just stop making OBJ the victim here, okay? It is what it is. He needs to get on the field, and he needs to play better. But until that time, I do have his teammate, Jarvis Landry, ranked number 23 on the rankings here. And then at tight end, I got Austin Hooper and David Njoku and C.J. Uzomah all together. Boom, 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 20, 21, and 22. So for whatever that's worth, I think the Bengals are hot right now. I think they're a hot team, but something tells me don't sleep on the Browns. I'm gonna go ahead and call the upset here. I'm gonna take the Browns.
Yeah, this is a game that always goes into the 30s. I mean, this is a game you can anticipate and expect to be a very exciting, usually down to the wire type of game. So no matter what's going to happen, at least you're going to get a football game that I would say more often than not is going to take you to the bitter end of that 4 o'clock time period when the games start to shift over to the mid-afternoon games, and this game may still be on. So I like it. I like it for the fantasy value because they run up the score on each other. So I am looking forward to seeing this game. What I'm surprised about is the fact that, Odell is still on this team. It's been a long time since he had that one-handed grab. It's been a long time since we've seen the Odell that actually was a game changer. And there were times, freckles of hope these last couple of years where I'd put him on my bench and then he'd catch a pass and break free for some 57-yard or 50-something yard touchdown. And I'm thinking, why is he on my bench? But at the same time, he's on my bench because he's not consistent. And in not being consistent, it's hard to put him out there. And I don't know what OBJ wants. What I do know is if I'm the Cleveland Browns, if we can't figure this thing out, then we need to be done with this thing. And that's really how I look at it in the grand scheme of things. I don't think that he brings much of any value to this team, and I think it's time to part ways with him. I agree with you, Mike, that it is laughable and really shows people not being that intelligent in the sports world if they're saying that his legacy is hurt by the Browns, because I thought that his job on the team that he was on would be to score points and actually be effective. And he hasn't done a lick of that at any time soon or any time recently. So to me, I don't know why people would be mad at the Browns. If I'm the Browns, I feel like I wasted money on them. So, with that being said, I like Nick Chubb. I like Dearness Johnson. as a running back 3 for you, a low end 2. Jarvis Landry is one of the only healthy receivers, and his name's not Odell. So if you're going to play any of them, I would play him as a lower end 2 receiver. Not really sold on the tight ends for Cleveland. On Cincinnati, you got to play Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is worth the play as well, although he's dropped a little bit of value with Jamar Chase coming in, as I expected, having played with Joe Burrow at LSU. And C.J. Uzomah, I do like him, but he's a lower end 1, higher end 2 right now. So that's how I would look at it. There's more fantasy value on Cincinnati. I'm going to go with the Bungles in this one. So Mike and I agreed on the first. We disagree on the second here, as Mike goes Cleveland, and I will stick with the Bengals in this one, as the Bengals, I think, have more firepower, so they're going to be able to get this thing done. Next one up here, Mr. Sofka, we are looking at the matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are hot. A lot of people saying, hey, it's Tampa or Dallas to come out of the NFC. I say hold your horses, because of the fact that there's a lot of teams in the NFC that are really good right now. What's your take on the Broncos at the Cowboys?
Yeah, the Broncos are in a little bit of a quarterback dilemma, and almost same thing with Dallas. Dak Prescott should be back this week. He's been practicing already. He's number 6 on the ranking, and I got Teddy Bridgewater at number 17. At running back, this is where it's a little bit different for Zeke. Zeke always used to be like a top 5. Now he's like more like a top 10. I mean, I give him credit. He looked like he was waning there for a while, but he's consistently in the top 10 for me. He's number 7 on the ranking. And then, you look on the other side, you got Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. They kind of 1-2 punch it. They kind of help each other out. I don't think I think Javonte Williams is a younger Melvin Gordon, and reality is what it is. I got Melvin Gordon at 18, and I got Javonte Williams at 25. Over at wide receiver, Jerry Judy's back here. Cortland Sutton's still the man for right now. They'll probably pass each other in this game. I got Cortland Sutton at 16. Jerry Judy is checking in at 29. And then they got a 1-2 punch over on the other side of the ball, too, for Dallas. You got C.D. Lamb and you got Amari Cooper. C.D. Lamb at 14, Amari Cooper at 19. And then Noah Fant, positive COVID test. He still has a chance to play with two negative tests before kickoff. But Albert O, Drew Lock's old partner at Missouri, Albert O, number 9 on the rankings. Look for him to be a red zone target. Look for him to be a touchdown maker in this game. Should they get near the end zone enough? Looking at this game, I want to go Broncos, but I just can't. I'm going to take Dallas home. You're absolutely right, Dan. Dallas is playing really hot right now.
Yeah, I mean, this game kind of reminds me of old. When I see Denver's doing some good things, Dallas is doing some good things. It's good to see that these two teams are, playing a game that holds maybe a little more weight than it did in past seasons, seeing what they've been able to do up to this point and right now. So I do like it, and I'm happy to see that Denver's having some successes, because I'm a Teddy Bridgewater fan. I want to see him succeed. I don't think he's been given, the time that he deserves, and he's had to bounce around a lot more than I think that is maybe fair to him. So starting with the Denver Broncos in this matchup, for me with Teddy, I wouldn't play him in this one. Although, I do appreciate him fantasy-wise, I wouldn't play him. Javonte Williams, I still like it. And Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon's a 2. Javonte Williams is a 2 at running back. I like them both. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. Now with both of them healthy, Tim Patrick gets pushed down the line here. So that's something you got to pay attention to here. But I do like Sutton and Jeudy. I do think they're lower-end 2s right now, just because it's I'm still trying to figure out what is this identity going to be for the Denver Broncos team. I like them both. I think they should both be out there. I think you should play them both. I'm just saying that as far as, the explosive numbers, I'm still kind of waiting and seeing exactly which one of these guys is going to expand, or both of them is going to expand. I think their best bet is with Teddy, and so I think they're worth the play. But I'm just not overly confident that they're going to go over the top for you. Now, on the other side of it, Dak Prescott is able to play. You put him in there. Love the fact that they brought in Will Grier former guy in Florida, quarterback there, and obviously had a little journey to West Virginia and then found his way to Carolina, and now he's on Dallas. Zeke Elliott, how do you keep him off the field? So, you got to play him, but I agree with Mike. He's dipped a little bit here. Tony Pollard, still a flex guy, although quiet recently. And you got to play CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper are worth the play as well. And I like Dalton Schultz as a lower-end tight end one. So Dallas has got a lot of firepower. So does Denver. But when you put my feet to the fire in this one, I got to go with a team that's getting me excited about this Thanksgiving's game because it holds more weight. When this team is doing well, you can actually, I don't want to say it holds more. Oh no, I mean it does. It holds more weight because of the fact that they're playing games that are very, very meaningful right now because they're relevant again. So what I'm really trying to tell you is, with the Cowboys being relevant and us being a few weeks away from Thanksgiving, it makes the Thanksgiving game mean what it should mean. I'm going with the Cowboys in this matchup. Houston at Miami, Mike. How about the irony of this one? The team that almost allegedly traded Deshaun Watson away is playing the team that they almost allegedly traded him away to. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it would have been convenient for him. He could have just brought all his stuff with him when the Texans made the road trip.
It's almost like, anyway, parents that are divorced, where like mom drops off the kid with dad for the weekend, but then never comes back to pick him up,
All right, in this one, I got Tua ranked 11. I think Houston's defense has been playing very badly, and, I think their offense has been too. But, Tyrod Taylor is going to be back this week, so look for Tyrod to get his feet wet. He's going to be number 20 on my rankings this week. Myles Gaskin's been getting it done. He's number 11 on the rankings, so he's still an RB1 for you. But, David Johnson. Oh, Mark Ingram's gone. They traded Mark Ingram away, so we're going to feature David. Stop. What's that trombone sound? That's how David Johnson owners felt last week. He's number 39. Hopefully the change of quarterback will get his game going. And over at receiver, Brandon Cooks has been the one bright spot for Houston. And then on the other side of the ball for Miami, Devontae Parker came back out of nowhere last week. He's number 27, and his partner Jalen Waddle's number 25 on the rankings. I'd have to go way deep for Jordan Akins on Houston if I wanted him at number 23 on the rankings for tight end. And Mike Gesicki, he's always top 10. He's number 5 on the rankings this week. Looking at this game, both teams are not great at all, but even on a neutral field, I'd probably have to take the Dolphins, and they're playing at home. So I'm going to take the Dolphins.
I would take the Dolphins in Vietnam, in the middle of the jungle in this game. Like, there's nothing about Houston, no matter where they play, that's going to make me pick Houston right now. Houston is not great. They don't make sense. They traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. You traded a receiver for a running back, arguably the best in the country, for a running back that had fallen off over the past 2 or 3 years. Then you keep Deshaun Watson, who you're not playing right now. The Houston Texans just make bad decisions. And you can't blame Bill O'Brien anymore unless Bill O'Brien's ghost is still in the building, because he's alive and well and he's elsewhere. So for me, I don't get Houston. I don't understand what they've done. What I find interesting is that before the trade deadline, they let Mark Ingram go where? Back to New Orleans to reunite with Alvin Kamara, because that project didn't work out, right? Alvin Kamara with Latavius, Alvin Kamara with Tony Jones, Alvin Kamara with fill in the blank, and here's Alvin Kamara back with Mark Ingram, and it's almost like, you get the band back together, and Mark walking back to the building could be a very beautiful thing, and at the same time, Alvin could have been like, did you have your fun? Like, was it worth it? Was it worth it to be in Baltimore and to be in Houston, and now you're back, right? You're back on a team, and we're winning. We're 5-2. We got a shot. So, I'm happy to see that move. Probably the best thing that could happen. Again, a move that involved Houston, but didn't involve Houston winning. So, Brandon Cooks. There you go. Long and short end of it, Brandon Cooks. Copy and paste from what I said last week. Tua, you know what? I hope he shows the Texans, and I hope he shows Miami what he's worth. I really do. I hope he goes friggin' ballistic in this game. I got him as a low end quarterback 1. I do like him in this matchup. I think that, there's something out there that he could, there's kind of a subliminal message of, if you guys were really thinking about replacing me so soon, I'm going to remind you who I am. So I do like him as a quarterback 1 in this. Myles Gaskin, a running back 3. Devontae Parker, I'm not sold on. I like Jalen Waddle. He's been in my starting lineup a lot. And so I do like Waddle in your room of wide receivers. Not a 1 yet, but I do like him in the room. And Mike Gesicki, hard to keep him off the field as well. I'm going with the Dolphins if I haven't made myself clear. So that's my pick for this week in that game. Atlanta at New Orleans. Speaking of Mark Ingram returning to Alvin Kamara, they were arguably the best 1-2 punch at running back in the country a couple of years ago. Then Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt took that, in my opinion, and now they're back together again. What do you think about Mark Ingram back with Kamara as they get to face off Atlanta in an NFC South divisional matchup?
I like it. Mark Ingram, the consummate hype man. He's a great guy, great locker room guy. Maybe, just maybe, he can talk Michael Thomas out of getting his head out of his rear end and getting straightened out so they can win with that rotating quarterback situation that they have. And yeah, I think they're going to have a rotating quarterback situation. I think Taysom Hill is the better dynamic with a game plan from Sean Payton. He's the consummate, guy with the legs. He's like another Jalen Hurts player. I know he's a little bit older, but he still has that type of skill. And this is a guy who can throw the ball, just not very well, but that's okay because he can get it done with his legs. And if you need a deeper pass, you could bring in Trey Simeon for a bit. This is a guy from Olympia High School, Northwestern, and then was in Denver, and now here he is. He has an opportunity again, and he jumped in that last game, and he took advantage of it, and, well, they ended up beating the Bucs. So, there's a lot to be said when a guy can come off the bench and he can go in the game and you can win the game. That's a good feeling. So I think we're going to see both quarterbacks in this. I don't really see any value in starting either one of them because of that. I got Matt Ryan at number 23, Taysom Hill at 25, and I'm not even going to give a rank Trey Simeon because I really think it's going to be more Taysom Hill and not enough of Trey Simeon yet in this lineup here. Alvin Kamara, number 2 on the ranking. You said it with Mark Ingram back. Alvin Kamara's number 2. I really don't have a spot for Ingram yet here. I'm confident he'll score a touchdown if you're in a touchdown-only league, but I don't have him worth even a flex play, unfortunately, in this one. On the other side of the ball, Carter L. Patterson's been getting it done. He's at number 9 on the ranking, and then number 29 on the ranking is Mike Davis. I think he's going to sneak back in there. Looking at the wide receiver, look, I hate to be insensitive, and I hope Calvin Ridley, gets his issues worked out. It sounds like a mental health issue from the statement he made. I'm just going to say, men from the greatest generation, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, these guys, you didn't take time off. If your wife was having a baby while you were playing the game, you were hoping to get on the rotary phone and hear the baby cry for 2 minutes before you got back out on the field. You need to stop letting your teammates down. And I mean this for everybody who now when they stub a toe or whatever, all of a sudden they can still get a check and not have to work because the team's not doing that. Just stop. Get on the field. Do what you have to do to get your head right for a game or so. But please, Calvin Ridley, get your act together. Get back on the field. I can't start anybody from Atlanta. Maybe a Russell Gage. He's number 58 on the rankings for me. And on the other side of the ball, it's the same thing. It's Marquez Callaway, number 49 on the rankings. And looking over the tight end position, Atlanta's got Kyle Pitts, top 5 all year. He really exploded a couple weeks ago. He's number 4 on the rankings. And then, I really don't have a guy, maybe an Adam Troutman who's been stepping up a little bit lately. I like New Orleans at home in this one.
Yeah, New Orleans brings in Mark Ingram, like you said. Maybe it's to be the whisperer to Michael Thomas. It's to obviously help out Alvin Kamara. They know each other well. To give them some sense of normalcy in a world where Michael Thomas isn't playing and Drew Brees isn't there anymore, it's not a bad decision. And I hope it helps. And speaking of decisions, I hope whatever Calvin Ridley's going through, that it helps. He's one of the guys that I drafted, and I'm going through my thing, and it said he's out indefinitely due to, taking care of his mental health. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I didn't expect this. What am I supposed to do now? And at the same time, that's my take on it from far away, going, well, that's my number one receiver. But at the same time, what he's going through, I'm just hoping that whatever it is, he can figure it out. I'm hoping that whatever it is, he can get healthy and get better, and that he can find some peace, because this world does challenge your mental health, and this world, no matter how strong you are, is a challenge. So I hope he'll be okay. And I talked to you about Russell Gage at the beginning of the season as a sleeper. Now him and Tajay Sharp came from the Titans, and Olamide Zacchaeus comes from the Virginia Cavaliers in college, where, and I've told you before that I've covered him there. Any one of these guys can step up. I think Olamide Zacchaeus, to me, is a very deep dive flex, and I think that Russell Gage is a flex, but there's really no starter there. Mike Davis and Cordero Patterson have gone back and forth on where they're going to go. Mike Davis had a team high 44 yards rushing. That's awful. Sean Tucker of Syracuse gets that on one play. So I'm not trusting really anything in Atlanta right now. They might lay a goose egg, or they might lay 3 on this one. Kyle Pitts is the only one that I would play from here. On New Orleans side of it, Taysom Hill is banged up. He's not 100%. Coming off a concussion. And, Ian Book from Notre Dame could get a shot right there, could get an opportunity at some point. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. Listen, I know Mark just got there, but Kamara's worth the play, and Mark Ingram is too. I'm going to tell you why. Pick him up in free agency and put him out there as a flex. They play well together. And again, like I said, this is getting the band back together. It might take a couple minutes to get those string chords right and to get that guitar strumming at the right time to hit with that the drum solo. But once they start to do it, listen, Kamara knows how to rock the drums, and Ingram knows how to play the guitar. So just give them a few minutes, and they're going to be all right. Marquez Callaway, Tre'Quan Smith. I'm not moved by any of this. I think this is not so much of an Atlanta game at all, with a little bit of Kyle Pitts, if you're going to play anybody. I think this is Kamara and Mark Ingram doing their thing and bringing the show back to New Orleans. I got New Orleans winning in this game, and I don't think it's going to necessarily be even close. Next matchup that we have here, Mike, before we take a step aside, the Las Vegas Raiders at the New York Giants. The Vegas Raiders losing Henry Ruggs, releasing him after he has come on to the team just a couple seasons ago, very young in his career, gets behind a wheel, and takes a life. Now, he may never play in the NFL again. He may not see the light of day for a while. A very sad story from a guy who went into the league with some hype and some hope, was underwhelming, a forgotten man in fantasy, and now, in reality, is going to have to face something that is tragic for everybody involved.
Yeah, just a bad situation. You hope the best for the families and all, but yeah, real tragic situation here. But looking at this game, this is always an interesting game when a team from the left coast visits the East Coast for a 1:00 game. I'm not sure I'm going to buy into that, but I do look for this to be a real close game. Could go either way. First thing you look at is the quarterback, and Daniel Jones has been running the ball a little bit. I think he's a leading rusher on his team, 241 yards. So this is a guy who he's not afraid to pull the ball down and go take some yardage. And he has to do that because he doesn't have Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's coming back this game. I'll get to that in just a second. But Derek Carr, number 14 on the rankings. And then you go over to the running back. Saquon Barkley's going to be back, but I think you're going to have him on a pitch count. I got him at 34, and I got Devontae Booker still taking a share of the carries there at 37. And then you got Josh Jacobs on the other side. He's at 19 on the rankings. And then wide receiver, this is where you still may find a bargain out there, even though waivers have run once you've probably heard this show here. You look at Brian Edwards, he was available in 89% of Yahoo leagues and 94% of ESPN leagues. I think he's going to take over as the number one. May not happen right away, may not happen this week. So I got Hunter Renfroe ranked higher than him this week at 21. But Hunter Renfroe is still available in 57% of Yahoo leagues and 44% of ESPN leagues. And then if you're in a real deep league, or a real deep bench, you may want to look at Zay Jones, available in 99% of Yahoo and ESPN leagues. But for this game only, I'm just concentrating on Hunter Renfroe in this one. And, of course, Darren Waller's going to be back. And then going back to the Giants receivers, Kadarius Toney, this guy needs to stay on the field. He's hurt all the time. I get it. He goes all out. It shows when he gets the ball. But this is a guy, I'm seeing reflections of Percy Harvard, another guy out of Florida, another explosive guy. They want to get the ball to him in space, but he can't stay healthy. He can't stay on the field. Leaving this game with a big gash, his hand got stepped on, freak accident, blood coming out, problem with the thumb. Don't know yet, but I still think he's going to play. But I can't really start this guy. I don't know. How many plays is he going to be on the field? He can throw the ball, too. Look for him to throw touchdowns as well. But, again, I just can't start that guy right now. Darius Slayton and he are both in the 40s on my rankings. And then going over to tight end, let me look at Darren Waller. I said it's going to be back. Look for him to be on somewhat of a pitch count, but probably not with Ruggs now being gone. He's going to take over as the primary target, the number one target there. And then Evan Ingram showing up at number 15 on the rankings here. Well, Kyle Rudolph looked pretty good last game as well. So if it was on a neutral site, I would say Vegas wins this game. It's in Jersey, and I'm still going to say Vegas wins this game.
Yeah, this is just, the Raiders are in a different world. I mean, the Raiders are leading their division of the AFC West. The Raiders last year, remember, raided the Chiefs. This year, they've been able to, they got a victory over Baltimore. They're beating what many people believe the last couple of years have been the darlings of the AFC. So the Raiders are no joke. And listen, they lose their head coach, and they're still winning. And why I bring that up is whenever there's a change that is that drastic, right? A quarterback, a head coach, something like that. I mean, really anybody leaving the locker room that, has a place on this team, it can affect the team. And the Raiders have been able to continue to navigate forward and not let, off the field stuff affect their on the field performance. And so I give him credit for that. Derek Carr in this matchup, I got him as a mid to low end quarterback one because he's playing the Giants. Hunter Renfroe, Mike talked highly about him. I knew him from Clemson. I literally told you, I don't care where he is on the depth chart, he's going to rise. Well, now he's risen all the way to number one on the depth chart. He's got Brian Edwards behind him, who's not a household name. And he's got Zay Jones, who I also know from East Carolina. And Zay Jones came over from Buffalo. So these guys all have an opportunity to make a name for themselves in the NFL. Hunter Renfroe is a possession receiver. This is a guy to look at in PPR, and he's probably more than likely out there in free agency. Darren Waller right now is questionable with an ankle injury. If he's able to play, you put him out there. But I do like I said, I do like Derek Carr in this game. Saquon Barkley, it's hard to believe that this guy, what I'm questioning with his ankle injury, which has left him questionable, ironically, what I'm questioning with this is, do they bring Saquon back, and does he play a few downs and then hurt it even more, and then he's out for the year? That's what I'm really, really concerned about right now. I would rather them be as sure as they can be than to just throw him back out there. So I don't know if that's good for you. Almost every receiver on the Giants is injured. Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Dante Pettis, and C.J. Board. Shout out to my man from Jacksonville. All these guys are on the injury report. Kadarius Toney, the rookie out of Florida, has a hand injury. Sterling is doubtful with a quad injury. Galladay is questionable with a knee injury. So that gives some value to Evan Engram in this matchup. But, I mean, really, for you and Kyle Rudolph as a low-end tight end one, if you want to put Saquon out there, I wouldn't put him as my one. I wouldn't put him as my two. I'd put him as my flex. But I'm just concerned that a few minutes into this game, we're going to see Saquon on the bench. and I hope to God I'm wrong because I really don't want to see that happen to the young man. I got to go with the Raiders in this game. The Giants are not a great team, and most of their offense is injured. So we got some thoughts coming in. Mr. Curley said, Guy lost Michael Thomas. What does it say? Guy lost Michael Thomas. He has just Jeff Devontae. Okay, so a guy lost Michael Thomas. He has Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith, and Deontay Johnson. I have Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Julio Gage. What kind of trades you like for both sides? So he has Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith, Deontay Johnson, and the guy that's talking to us has Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Julio Jones, and Russell Gage. And I guess he's asking us, should he make the trade? He said, I like Jefferson, and I have little knowledge on Johnson's situation in Pitt. Thank you. So he wants to know, basically, should he trade for anybody? He is a fan of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, no, if he's got Jefferson, you need to keep him. I do like DJ Moore, but the guy with DJ Moore is probably going to want Jefferson in return. So this may be a no-deal type deal, depending on what the rest of your roster looks like. Don't forget, we still have a handful of buys left, too, so you don't want to catch yourself short. You always want to be on the bonus end of that, where the guy you're getting's already had his buy, and you're not going to miss a game. So it's little stuff like that get overlooked. But I like both sets of receivers here. I don't think there's a trade here unless you're willing to give up Jefferson. So I would just kind of leave things be. I kind of like what you got going on there.
Yeah, Jefferson is on the other guy's team, but I mean your sentiment though, your point of this is, would this guy even be willing to let go of Jefferson? So
yeah, you'd have to give up more, and I wouldn't want to give up more to get Jefferson. If I can figure out a way to get Moore and Jefferson on the same team, that's a good thing. But I don't see that happening there.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I would say, yeah, you like Justin Jefferson.
Try, see what you can do to make that happen. But yeah, you're going to want to end up with the top two there, Jefferson and Moore.
Right, and I mean, in what it looks like and it seems like, is if this guy that you're trying to trade with has already suffered loss to his team, I don't think he's going to give you Justin Jefferson. If those are the receivers he has, his best bet by far, by 10 miles, is Justin Jefferson. So I can't see him giving up his best receiver to you when he already is depleted. That doesn't make sense. It's kind of like unloading the rest of the ammunition in your gun in the middle of a battle in World War II. So, I mean, I don't see how that works out for him, so I wouldn't think that that's going to be happening. So, my buddy Johnny had made... I was waiting for Johnny to send a message over here, and I will definitely say something, Johnny, coming up here in the show because of some really good news that happened. But we're going to take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. For all of you here with us inside of the extended Fantasy Football Power Hour, we appreciate you being here. Proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Open 7 days a week. And, of course, for all of your viewing pleasure for the NFL, college football, and beyond. And you can also get takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. They also have a party room and catering available. So for the party room reservations, catering, takeout, delivery, and dine-in, do it all at the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. We'll be back here from the Cafe Kubal studios momentarily with Mike Sofka and myself, Dan Tortora, as we continue our coverage of Week 9 in fantasy football, with the next game coming up being New England at Carolina, a replay of the first Super Bowl that started a long line that I don't think anybody was ready for in the Bill Belichick era with the Patriots.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Hanging out here with you inside the Cafe Kubal studios, and appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets that thing called life. And like I said, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, Cafe Kubal available for you on 3501 James Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street and 208 North Townsend Street in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, minutes from the Dome. And, of course, you can also find them at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and their newest location and first ever drive-through location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, New York. Mike Sofka and I are here with you inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Open 7 days a week with that Wildcat sauce wings, their pizza, their Philly cheesesteaks, their chicken Caesar wraps, and all the fantastic things I've had at the Wildcat. Drink responsibly and find your way over to the Wildcat for all your games this week and beyond. New England at Carolina, Mr. Sofka. What do you got?
Yeah, Mac Jones is having a pretty good year for a rookie. He's coming along. You can see he's making progress. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Both teams 4-4 in this. On the other side of the ball, Sam Darnold got knocked out of the last game, and he got benched the game before that. P.J. Walker came in, and we know him from the AAF. What was that league called? The XFL, the AAFL.
There was the American Alliance of Football, the AAF, and then there was the XFL. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's number 30 and Sam Darnold's number 29. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We need to see if Sam Darnold's going to clear the concussion protocol, but both ways they're a mess. They were in a rumor mill for the Deshaun Watson trade too earlier, but that never came to fruition. Going over to running back, Christian McCaffrey's supposed to be back, but I think Chuba Hubbard's going to get a share of the rock. Still haven't got confirmation that Christian McCaffrey is going to be back yet, but right now Chuba Hubbard's number 21 on the rankings, and Christian McCaffrey, I'm in a holding pattern until I see him practice all the way up through Friday. And then on the ball there for the Patriots, you know that they really like the fact they can count on one running back in Damian Harris. Now, the bad news for fantasy players is that everybody jumped on Ramondre Stevenson because he had this great preseason. And then, well, look, it's Brandon Bolden getting it done. No, it's J.J. Taylor. No, it's Ramondre. No, it's J.J. No, it's Brandon Bolden. So it's that second guy that's a rotation that we don't know who it is. But Damian Harris, ranked number 20 on the rankings this week. Going over to wide receiver, this is where it gets a little thin. All wide receivers for the Patriots are in the 40s. I'm not sure I can count on a Nelson Aguilar or Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers. I don't know if I really want those guys to roll in the 40s and 50s. DJ Moore has been a one-man show, and he's had to be a one-man show. He hasn't been getting any support from the tight end position. They traded away Dan Arnold, and Robbie Anderson's all but disappeared. Look out in the future for a Terrace Marshall to really step up. But for right now, it's the DJ Moore show. He's number 10 on the ranking. Tommy Trembles has stepped up a little bit, but Ian Thomas and him aren't getting anything done. You can't start either one of those guys. And Hunter Henry's been the hot hand as of late for the Patriots. Looking at this game, everything being equal, both teams' records being equal, I got to go with the better coach here, and I'm going to go with the better quarterback situation, I think, and the better coach in Belichick. I'm going to take New England.
Yeah, it's both of these teams would be out of the college football playoff unless they were from the Big Ten or Notre Dame with 4 losses. So, looking at, and if you want to get my thoughts on all that, check out the Bye Week Blitz, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Starts with Syracuse, ends with me going ballistic on the college football playoff rankings, but I think rightly so. So with that being said, to take a look at this, situation with the Patriots and the Panthers, this game is not, the same feel as what we're used to with the Patriots for sure. And, and the Panthers have been better in times of old as well. So, I think it's hard. It's hard to see this, I think, for Patriots fans to have to navigate through this, but it's Bill Belichick, like you said. How long is he actually going to struggle? Looking at Mac Jones as a rookie, almost 70% completion percentage, 68.1 on 282 attempts, 3 yards away from 2,000 yards this season, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions so far at this point. Damian Harris hasn't been that bad. Over 100 carries, 517 yards, 4.4 yards a carry, 6 rushing touchdowns. He has lost the 2 fumbles he's committed, but, worth noting there kind of where these guys are. So, Mac Jones, I would say, in this matchup, he's a low-end 1. Damian Harris is a running back 2, I would give him. And then I'm not still sold on any of their wide receivers, but I do like Hunter Henry. So Hunter Henry is worth putting out there on the team. Hunter Henry right now has, 4 touchdowns and just shy of 300 yards, which is only about 120-something yards behind Jacoby Myers, who is a receiver on the team. So, Ethan, I want to let you know we're going to answer your question in just a second. So thank you for being here. On Carolina's side of it, my man P.J. Walker. Again, Matt Rule, Temple, P.J. Walker, Temple, and P.J. coming from the XFL, getting an opportunity, which I was hoping somebody would pick him up. And it looks like he could be going out there in this game as well. If I got to pick anybody on this, here's the interesting thing about the situation at Carolina. You got Chuba Hubbard, then you bring in Amir Abdullah, who never worked in Detroit, and you bring in Royce Freeman, who never worked in Denver. And so you got these guys in here right now. Watch out for Royce Freeman getting some action in this as a flex. But Chuba Hubbard, I would still say he's a flex guy for you. DJ Moore, a wide receiver 2. Robbie Anderson, I would say, he's just falling off the map right now. He'd be a flex right now, I would say at this point, especially with every quarterback having their guy, and if Sam Darnold's not going to be out there. So it's really in DJ and in Chuba. New England, to me, has a little bit. And Mike, I can't refute the fact when you talk about coaching. I'm a big fan of Matt Rule, but this is Bill Belichick we're talking about. This is the Patriots, and the Panthers are not that great, So even though the Patriots aren't that good, neither are the Panthers. So in this game of not that great teams, I'm going to have to go with Bill Belichick and the Patriots as well. Ethan asked us a question. Should he start Michael Carter from the Jets or Cordero Patterson this week?
Cordero Patterson, or what was the other one? I'm sorry.
Michael Carter.
Oh, Patterson. I'm definitely going Patterson's been hot all year. I think Michael Carter has a greater upside to better long-term play, especially a dynasty. But this week I like Patterson a little bit better. I got Patterson in the top 10, and I got Michael Carter in the teens.
Yeah, so Mike, only to confuse you a little bit more, Ethan, Mike says Cordero Patterson. I'm going to say Michael Carter. And so I've been leaning on the side of Michael Carter here. I know that playing him is going to, if he doesn't do well, you're kind of stuck because he's playing on Thursday night. So if it doesn't work out, you don't start out with a lot of points. But he's playing Indianapolis, so I'd play Michael Carter. In my opinion, I would go his way and take the chance this Thursday on that game. Mike, next up on the docket here for us. Well, thank goodness that the Jacksonville Jaguars are returning home and they don't have too much of a threat. Oh, it's Buffalo? Well, then scratch what I said. Buffalo Bills playing up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's like it's like being a president and stating something and then having the PR person run up and go, sir, you read 3,000. It's actually 3. So here we are. Jacksonville has not won a game in America in over 20 weeks. They go to Europe. They go to England. They win. They come home. They lose to Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks on the road. Now they have the benefit of playing Buffalo, who, mind you, when they played them last time in Jacksonville, it was for the playoff wild card. Shamarko Thomas, my guy from Syracuse, was a DB for the Buffalo Bills. And Doug Marrone was going up against his old team. And the game was really close, a lot closer than it needed to be, on a time where the Jacksonville Jaguars got all the way to almost the Super Bowl for the first time ever, but were stopped by the Patriots and lost by 4. So here we are again in Buffalo, coming into Jacksonville, but this is a prolific offense in Buffalo. This is Josh Allen's Buffalo. This is a different Buffalo than what we saw with Tyrod Taylor and company and Nathan Peterman. What are your thoughts on the Buffalo Bills coming into Jacksonville this week?
Well, there's going to be some good football in Jacksonville this week. Unfortunately for the Jaguars, it's going to be on a visitor side, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen has finished number 1 quarterback 3 weeks already this year. This is going to be the 4th week. That's almost half the year here. Number 1 on my ranking. Meanwhile, you got the Wonder Boy, Trevor Lawrence, checking in at 26. Looking at the running backs, James Robinson got a foot injury in this one. Carlos Hyde stepped back in the game there and was able to carry the load the rest of the way. Now, they say James Robinson's avoided a major injury, but he's day-to-day. The good news is they're not saying he's week-to-week. I still like Carlos Hyde as a waiver wire wonder this week. He's number 26 on the ranking. Very hesitant on James Robinson until I see him get a Friday practice in. And then for the Bills on the other side, Zach Moss has been the guy that stepped up as a recent. Singletary's faded way out, but this week I think it's going to be more of a balance. I got Zach Moss at 22, and I got Singletary at 29. Looking at the receivers, Stephon Diggs is the man. He's the best receiver on the field, number 6 on the rankings. And you got to go down a little ways. You got to go down into the 30s to get to Emmanuel Sanders, and you got to go the same distance for Marvin Jones. These guys are in the mid-30s, so a wide receiver 3 for each of them. I don't see a Gabe Davis. Even though Gabe Davis got one last week, I don't see him worthy of a play, but I do see Cole Beasley worthy of a play out of the slot at 24. And looking at the tight end situation, Dan Arnold, he'll get moved up to number 11 this week on the tight end rankings. Dawson Knox still nursing a hand injury, so I'm not sure about his status for the game this week. I'm going to have to go with the Bills big in this one on the road in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I just this is an easy one. You got to go with the Bills in this one. I mean, a couple years ago, it's just funny what a few years does. A few years ago, I'm going Jacksonville all the way, Jalen Ramsey and the crew doing their thing, and now I'm looking at this team. And yes, I said Jalen Ramsey, and I know he's a problem in Jacksonville, but he was talented. He was just a talented problem. And then you look at Buffalo, thinking Jacksonville let Buffalo feel way too good about themselves in that game. But in this game, I don't think Buffalo is going to let Jacksonville feel any type of good Mr. Curley will answer your question here in just a moment. Want to let you know. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, all worth the plays. Emmanuel I'd put as a low end 2, high end 3. Beasley is a flex. Stephon Diggs is a number 1 receiver. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. It's hard to choose, but they're both going to be able to have some success here. So I'd flex them out if you can. If you got a couple receivers or running backs you could play in the 1 and 2 spot. And like I said, Josh Allen, easy. You might want to look at Buffalo's defense as well for takeaways and for special teams. On Jacksonville's side of it, Dan Arnold, the low-end tight end 1, high-end 2. And if James Robinson's able to play, you play James Robinson. But the value's in Buffalo. Josh Allen's incredible. And, I said he was the second best coming into this season as a fantasy a fantasy quarterback. But now, with seeing the season, that was going into the season. Now seeing the season, I think that he has passed Patty Mahomes because of consistency in what he's been able to do. So I'm a big fan of what we've seen from the young man from Buffalo out of Wyoming, and I think that Buffalo is going to win big. They might score 40 in this game. They might only allow 7. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. A question that came in, do you like T. Higgins for Deontay Johnson in PPR?
Yeah, that's a good question here. Let me give you an idea just based on this week here. Let me slide down here, pull this up. Yeah, that's a pretty close trade. You just got to remember that Ben's struggling a little bit here. I don't know how comfortable I think I'm more comfortable with Joe Burrow than Ben Roethlisberger, if that makes any sense. So I might stick with Higgins there.
Yeah, I think if it was up to me at this point, I know some people are upset that, Jamar Chase is taken away from T. Higgins if T. Higgins is on your team. But I trust Joe Burrow way more than Ben Roethlisberger, who I believe is, more on his way out than in, obviously. So I'm going to say, without question, Curly, for me and for Mike, we're in agreement that Higgins is the better bet right now than Deontay Johnson. So, take that with you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to send it in. But, yeah, without question right now, that's...
If it was one game, if it was just this week, if it was for DFS, I'd take Deontay Johnson. I want to be clear.
Okay. Yeah, so if it was just for this week, with Pitt playing Chicago, he would go for it. But I'm looking at it from the long haul. I think that T. Higgins is the better bet for you right now. He's got the better quarterback and the better offense at the moment, so I would go with that. Mike, next up here, we have Minnesota at Baltimore. What do you got?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is the guy that, keeps the ship steady for the Vikings, but they're 3-4 here, and they're visiting the Ravens, who their quarterback's probably the best running back on the field for both teams. I got Lamar Jackson number 2 on the rankings. Kirk Cousins, Mr. Mendoza's checking in bottom and QB1 at number 10 here. Looking at the running backs, like I said, I think the best one is Lamar Jackson. Dalvin Cook's going to give him a run for his money. Dalvin Cook number 6 on the rankings. I really can't count on another Baltimore running back. Maybe a Devonta Freeman, get some goal line and some end zone work there at number 38 on the rankings, and Latavius Murray at number 40. Looking at the wide receivers here, Adam Thielen, number 12 on the rankings. And then for Baltimore, you're like, wow, I wish they'd throw the ball. Oh my gosh, there's Marquise Brown with a 65-yard bomb, and it's a touchdown. That guy has the power. He's like the Jamar Chase of Baltimore. Marquise Brown is number 8 on the rankings. And then at tight end, Tyler Conklin's having a good year, number 10 on the rankings here. And the Ravens got the better tight end on the field, though. Number 2 this week, Mark Andrews. I'm going to go for Baltimore at home.
Yeah, speaking of Cincinnati, they I don't know, because caught Baltimore sleeping, had Baltimore in a moment. Something happened, but... I like Baltimore in this game as well. And, think about this. Just think about this for a second. Latavius Murray, Devonta Freeman, Le'Veon Bell. If you knew that all these guys were going to be on the same teams, you'd be going nuts. You'd be thinking, oh my gosh, I can't. But how did somebody draft them in fantasy? This is reality. This is not fantasy. This is reality. But Le'Veon Bell, he ain't doing nothing. Devonta Freeman, and Latavius Murray's been injured. So, I agree with you. It's Lamar Jackson versus Dalvin Cook at running back, but Lamar also throws. Lamar is a Swiss Army knife and so valuable. How cool would it have been if Minnesota stuck with Teddy Bridgewater? Then you would have saw Louisville quarterback versus Louisville quarterback of passing the torch. Bridge versus Lamar Jackson. But that's not going to happen because Bridge is in Denver right now. Lamar, worth the play. Hollywood Brown, worth the play at wide receiver. He's not a wide receiver one, but he's still worth putting out there for you. And Mark Andrews. On the other side, for the Minnesota Vikings, obviously Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. I like them all in this. And then Tyler Conklin, I would say, is a low-end tight end one. You could do worse, and maybe if somebody's off on bye or somebody's injured, you can look to him, but I don't know how much value he's going to bring to your team as far as saving you, especially against Baltimore. I think Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, like I said, are worth the play. But Baltimore, they're at home. They got the best weapon in this whole... It's like going out when you used to play Super Soakers and everybody had a Super Soaker. Then somebody came out with like the triple gauge, like 3 bottles on it. Just like, you got to refill while they're just, coming at you for an hour and a half without even having to think about refilling. That is Lamar Jackson. That is what Baltimore can be with him. I'm going with the Ravens in this matchup without doubt. So I got to go with the Ravens in this one. Next game up for us, Mike, is going to be the Chargers at the Eagles. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Chargers look good, but the Eagles don't look bad here. I like this matchup 4-3 versus 3-5. Jalen Hurts, he's one of those guys where you're like, wow, I wish he'd start throwing touchdowns. Oh, that's okay. He just ran for 100 yards and a touchdown. Number 4 on the rankings this week, Justin Herbert, number 7. Looking at the running back situation, the Chargers are steady Eddie with Austin Eckler, top 5 all year, number 5 on the rankings. And then this week for Philadelphia, Miles Sanders is supposed to be back. But wait, it's Boston Scott. No, it's Jordan Howard. Next thing you know, they're going to bring out Bryant Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy, Steve Van Buren. They're going to bring out Steve Byers and Ricky Waters and Deuce Staley. Everybody's going to get the chance to touch the rock. I ain't starting any of those guys because of that same reason there. Looking at the wide receivers, Devonta Smith is a great receiver. Jalen Reagor as well. Everybody's dinged up this time of year, though, and I really like Jalen Hurts running the ball a lot more than I like throwing the ball. But on the other side, Keenan Allen is number 15 on the rankings. Going over to tight end, really don't see where I can start anybody but Dallas Goedert, number 6 on the rankings, and Jared Cook, 154 years old, still getting it done, number 12 on the tight end rankings. I'm going to take the Chargers on the road.
Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia, I said it last week, they beat up on teams that aren't good. So, they look really good on in games that, you're playing Detroit, you're playing Atlanta, and you're having career days. Well, I mean, it's good for fantasy to look at those games. But is Philadelphia in reality a really good team? Probably middle of the road, maybe below average a little bit here. Justin Herbert, I would play him in this matchup. I look at him as a QB1 mid-range. I like Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and I would say Jared Cook's a low-end tight end 1. Jalen Hurts on the other side is worth a play, and maybe a Dallas Goedert. Devontae Smith you could potentially flex, but I like you, Mike. I'm not feeling great about the running back situation because they started the season with like 17 of them, and now they still have 3 besides Miles Sanders. So it is really hard for Kenneth Gainwell or any of these guys to get going if you keep sharing the rock. So ultimately, I like Hurts and a little bit of Goddard. Devontae Smith, he's been underwhelming. He could be a guy that gets you 1 point this week. So, I don't see much from him. That's why I said if you want to, you could flex him out. I got to go with the Chargers in this matchup. Next game that we have up on the docket, Green Bay and Kansas City. What do you have for Green Bay at KC? Kansas City not being as good as people hoped. Green Bay being better than what people expected, especially with the drama with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Pat Mahomes is fumble city, interception man. Whether they're on deflect out for Gore, not Frank Gore, Derek Gore. He's showing up number 50. He had a good showing off the practice squad last week. I look for that to continue, for him to be in the rotation. I see him with some interesting quarterback play. I think Garoppolo is the better quarterback between Trey Lance right now, and I think that's better for the team, the 49ers in general, nursing a 3-4 record. The 7-1 Cardinals come to town, and Kyler Murray's having an MVP type season. I like Kyler Murray a lot. Number 15 on the ranking this week. The quarterback, he's Jimmy Garoppolo, and then going over to running back, Chase Edmonds, number 15 on the ranking, and then Elijah Mitchell, thinking he's going to be back, dinged up last game as well, number 17 on the rankings. It could be JaMychal Hasty, though, too, so have him on your radar. See what the Friday practice situation looks like heading out of this week. Going over to receiver, Deebo Samuel's one of those big play guys. You're like, hey, I wish he would get going here. Boom, he's got two catches for 100 yards and a touchdown in a matter of minutes. You're like, all right, he's number 4 on the rankings this week. And then DeAndre Hopkins is going to check in at number 22. Christian Kirk, number 35 on the ranking. A.J. Green at 162 years old, number 42 on the rankings here. And Arizona's liking that new tight end they got in Zach Ertz. He's number 18 on the ranking here. And for San Fran, George Kittle looks to be back. Look for him not to have a giant game, but a top 10 game, number 8 on the ranking this week. I'm going to go for Arizona on the road in this one.
Yeah, and this whole Arizona. I told you last year that this was a team to be concerned about. That this was a team that was going to cause some ruckus inside of the NFC West. And speaking of causing ruckus here, we may have had some ruckus caused as we take a look at the fact that Aaron Rodgers may have put this last game that we had, this last prediction that we had, may have affected us here, as we just found out within the last couple minutes, Mike, as we were, right around the time we were talking, that Kurt Benkert said he had COVID, the backup quarterback, practice squad quarterback for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers has COVID-19, will miss Sunday's game, which means Jordan Love will get the start, which means that Aaron Rodgers' worst nightmare could come to fruition now that Jordan Love gets to go out there. So let's go back to the Packers-Chiefs game and let's redo our thing because we want to give people in the moment thoughts here. So let's go Packers-Chiefs again. What are our thoughts now that Aaron Rodgers will be out due to COVID?
Yeah, you're just going to have to stand by for a second because I got 2 leagues where I got a super flex and 2 quarterbacks in a 16-team and a 12-team league, and I got to go see if Jordan Love's available. So stand by. I know you're joking, but I'm not.
Yeah, no.
Let me just see if he's available. Hold on. I'm going to see. No, he's gone. I'm already too late. That's the way it is in some of these leagues I'm in, these super competitive leagues. But I wouldn't trade him for the world. But I think that does knock Devontae Adams down a little bit. I had him number 3 on the ranking. I'm still going to, think that he's the wide receiver 1. I'm still going to give him top 12 ranking, but I think that knocks him down. Obviously, I don't like Jordan Love as well as I like Aaron Rodgers at 9. I'll give Jordan Love something in the bottom 20s there this week. So this could change. I think I took Green Bay on the road in this one. I'm going to have to switch back and go with KC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't change, obviously my analysis of Kansas City in this one, but what did I say? I said Green Bay can run the ball. They don't even need Aaron Rodgers to do it all right now, and that's exactly what they're probably going to do is run the ball. Not that Jordan Love is going to have some moments. I think he will, but that improves the value of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in this week's matchup. So look to A.J. Dillon as his value rises, and Aaron Jones is already a 1 at running back. So make sure you put them out there, and I'm going to flip as well in this, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs at home as this news that just came in a couple seconds ago. Big shout out to Greg, too, for
We need to have that, this just in, breaking news.
Yeah, I did
awesome.
the on Superpowered Pop. I did the nasally guy. So you would hear a helicopter and you hear breaking news, and we would bring him in and have him right there in the field giving his thoughts on what's going on. So thank you to Greg for being our on-site correspondent. I'll call you Greg. Shout out to you, brother, that you got this to us first. So we appreciate that as we're going to pick the Chiefs. Now, Michael sent us a question, Mr. Sofka, that said, the Kelsey owner is listening to offers. I have Kyle Pitts right now. Should I go after Kelsey? I don't trust Pitts with Ridley out.
Oh, it's just the opposite. You should double down on Pitts. And Kelsey hasn't gotten it done. Neither has Mahomes. I would stick with Pitts.
I literally didn't want to load the question, so I didn't say anything, but I feel exactly the same way. I feel exactly the same way that Pitts now has more value with Ridley indefinitely out. So I would say, so stay with Pitts is what Mike and I are both going to tell you here. Thank you, Michael, for your question. Next game up that we have here, Mr. Sofka, as we get at this, and thank you to Greg who said I gotcha. Big ups to Greg for being with it. And so we're going to get to Sunday Night Football in just a second. We're going to take our final step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So tune in here to our fantastic partners from inside the Cafe Kubal studios here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We will be back right after this with Sunday and Monday Night Football.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the Southern Tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-pay non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every single time. Make your way out to the Millhouse Market today. But before you go, make sure you download their app on the Google Play or Apple App Store to have everything at your fingertips, from their homemade breads and desserts to salads, quinoa bowls, rice bowls, as well as their brick oven pizzas and sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our taste buds and ingrained in our community, the Millhouse Market open Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. during normal business hours there. So make sure you check them out in Pulaski today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. You will not be disappointed. And I promise you, the biggest problem you're going to have when it comes to the menu at Millhouse Market is how extremely difficult it is to not order like 17 different things. I order something and then I bring something home. That's what I do. I normally get something, get a little dessert. I want to get like a salad, get a sandwich for later, get a pizza, get another pizza. The Millhouse Market is worth the drive every time, no matter where you're coming from and how long it takes to get there. I promise you, they are worth the drive every single time. 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Well, with that being said, Mr. Sofka, we have had ourselves a morning, haven't we? Right as we're right as we're prognosticating the Packers at the Chiefs, Aaron Rodgers goes on the COVID list. And as we're on break, as we're inside of the fast break, Michael Thomas is ruled out for the rest of the year with an ankle injury. So no more Michael Thomas, no Aaron Rodgers this week. Trade deadline just happened a couple days ago. So now, again, I go back to the Saints game and I tell you, with them not having Drew Brees, obviously this season, with them not having an outright quarterback and bringing back Mark Ingram, that makes the Mark Ingram situation with Alvin Kamara even more important because they're going to need to run the ball. The Packers, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, because they're going to need to run the ball. So these running backs, you need to go out. A.J. Dillon might be out there on the waiver wire. Mark Ingram might be out there in free agency. So these are guys that you have to go and get. But some news here, and that's why, I'm very grateful that we get to do things live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and obviously always spend some expanded time with you more often than not here with fantasy football. Sad news, upsetting news, but at the same time, I'm happy that we were able to give it to them, Mike. And what a friggin' morning. They say things happen in threes. What do you think is next?
No, I think we already had that with the Ruggs situation.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be another one today. It just goes to show you the NFL's not for long. The average lifespan of most NFL players is 3 to 5 years. You got to catch lightning in a bottle. You can't afford to step off the field like you said before. Is this the last? I don't think this is the last time we see Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love stepping on the field today. But this is an opportunity for Jordan Love to make the most of his situation. Not taking advantage of their situation. And you see, Henry Ruggs, you see a Michael Thomas, you see a Calvin Ridley, you see all this stuff happen. And, I feel bad for these guys, and I hope they get help. And I don't mean to sound insensitive, but you got to understand, they got 52 other men, grown men, that are being let down. Their families are potentially being let down. They may not get certain bonuses. They don't hit certain levels now because you let the team down. So, at a certain point, these teams are going to have to either fish or cut bait. And at a certain point, these teams are going to cut bait.
Yeah, and we're seeing them do that here. The trade deadline is somewhat underwhelming and more so, getting rid of players or maybe releasing somebody. So it's sad to see what's going on. And obviously, more than anything else, I pray for the health and safety and happiness of everybody out there, and send you my well wishes no matter what field or court of life you play on. I appreciate you, and if you don't know this, you are loved. There is a God. That God believes in you, and no matter how bad it is right now, you will be okay. So I want people to know that, because it's important to know that, especially when you feel like everything is going wrong. Mike, before we got into all of this, you said Arizona over San Fran. I did not give my analysis of that game, so I'm going to do that. Shout out to Colt McCoy, who's out in Arizona now, and Chris Streveler. Questionable, and I mentioned those two guys because Kyler Murray's questionable in this game. if Kyler's able to go with his ankle injury, obviously play him. Edmonds and Connor are flex running backs. DeAndre Hopkins is a starter in everybody's world except for the Houston Texans. So, but you got to play him in this one. DeAndre Hopkins worth the play. Everybody's on AJ Green. Listen, people make mistakes. They're amplified in sports, especially at the end of the game. But holy sweet mother of Jehoshaphat. If you made any mistake in your life, raise your hand. Y'all should be raising your hand. So get off of AJ Green's jock. Leave the man alone. Leave the death threats. Don't be writing that stuff and sending it anywhere. Back up. Back the truck up. Stop your nonsense. AJ Green's not a bad guy. His body of work has been strong. And I don't care if this man caught one catch in 15 years. Stop with the nonsense toward this man. Okay? Mistakes happen. Timing happens. It's whatever. It's done. It's a new week. DeAndre Hopkins is worth the play. Christian Kirk is worth the flex. And AJ Green, I'd put under Christian Kirk this week, but just stop. Zach Ertz, I also think, is a low-end tight end one, so potentially worth the play for you. Jimmy G and Trey Lance are both healthy, but Jimmy G's got the start right now in this. If you're in the wake-up call fantasy leagues, you get a team quarterback. So if Jimmy played a half and Trey came in and they had 4 touchdowns combined, you get all of that. But if you're in individual league quarterback situations, you got to make a choice here. So I would say, for San Fran, I wouldn't play their quarterback in this one either way, but just letting you know the situation. Elijah Mitchell's questionable, so JaMychal Hasty could be a late addition for you. Elijah Mitchell could still be a flex for you. Brandon Ayuk gets some more value with Deebo Samuel, questionable with a calf injury, and the situation at tight end's not that great. So low end on Brandon Ayuk, and maybe a look at Elijah Mitchell. That's it for me for San Fran. The value's in Arizona, and I'm picking Arizona to win this game. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. I got to go with the Cardinals in this game. Next one up that we have here, Mike, is Sunday Night Football. And Sunday Night Football will take us to Tennessee at the Rams. How about this one? Tennessee is firing, as I know that they do, because I paid attention to them as a longtime Jaguars fan. And the Rams with Matt Stafford, boy, do they look good. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, Tennessee's going to have to do without Derrick Henry for the rest of the year here, so that's a shame. They did bring in 36-year-old Adrian Peterson. I'll get to that point in a minute, but looking at the quarterback situation here for both teams, Ryan Tannehill, middle of the road guy, and that's only because he can't get Julio Jones on the field here. AJ Brown, when he's been available, has been wonderful. Doesn't have a real tight end to speak of there, but Matt Stafford is a QB1 definitely week in, week out with that offense around him, with a coach that believes in him, went out and got him. He's paying dividends. He's the quarterback I like in this one at number 5 on the rankings. Darrell Henderson really stepped up big with Cam Akers out. Number 8, top 10 running back all year, Darrell Henderson getting it done. And then I think you can count on Jeremy McNichols. Hasn't gotten very many touches or targets so far this year, only a handful. But I think you can count on an even split between him and Adrian Peterson. Now, Adrian Peterson's similar style back to Derrick Henry. He's a power runner. He's an up-and-down runner. I don't think he has to get up and go on the outside. I don't think he can make the deep cuts anymore. But he's still serviceable. He's still smart enough to come in and make an immediate impact, and that coaching crew is smart enough in the way they're going to use him, just like they would use Derrick Henry. So I think you're in for a nice combination of McNichols and Peterson. I got them ranked 23 and 24 respectively this week. And then looking at the receivers, A.J. Brown, number 5 on the ranking here. And then Cooper Kupp, of course, is number 1 at the top of the charts. Robert Woods, number 20. And then looking at the tight ends, of course, you can count on Tyler Higbee, number 13 on the ranking. And Tennessee hasn't really had anybody step up. Maybe an Anthony Ferguson, but I can't start him at 28 on the ranking. I'm going to take the Rams at home.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's looking good, but like you said, they don't have Derrick Henry. May not have him all year. Could have him in Week 15. We'll see. But, Jeremy McNichols, somebody's got to run the ball. So he's somebody that's more than likely out there in free agency. If nobody's picked it. What I'm saying, he's probably been out there in free agency all year. As of right now, you got to be on here 5 minutes ago. So hopefully you're checking that out. in the moment here with Jeremy McNichols. A.J. Brown is worth the play. Julio Jones has not stayed healthy. He had that issue with Atlanta, but it didn't seem like it was this rampant where he's really not been healthy 2 weeks in a row, it feels like here. So A.J. Brown's got value. Ryan Tannehill's going to have to throw the ball, so I would give him some value there as a QB one this week, but a lower end one, playing up against the Rams defense and being on the road. I like Matt Stafford. I like Darrell Henderson. I like Cooper Kupp. I like Robert Woods. I like Tyler Higbee. I like the Rams. And I like the Rams defense and special teams in this game. So I'm going Rams, 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 Rams in this one. Without question, the Rams. Last one here, Mike, Monday Night Football. We got Chicago at Pitt. And Michael B., you got a question for us. We'll get to it in just a second. Let's do Monday Night Football first, Mike. Bears at Steelers. What do you got?
Yeah, this is a game where, you'd like to think a few years ago this would have been better for Ben Roethlisberger, but then we wouldn't have Justin Fields. So one quarterback's on their way up, one quarterback's on their way down. It's going to be an interesting game. I think the Steelers' defense will prevail. Let's get to the rankings here. Ben Roethlisberger, number 19 on the ranking. Justin Fields, number 24. I think that Pittsburgh pressure is going to put him to the test. Pittsburgh's got the best running back on the field, number 1 this week, top 10 running back all year. Najee Harris, number 1 on the running back rankings here. And then Khalil Herbert, he's going to get the lion's share of the carries. He's going to have the impactful carries. He's number 13 on the rankings this week. Still trying to get David Montgomery. I don't think he's going to be back yet. Looking at the wide receivers, I'm not sure who I can count on. Allen Robinson is about checked out. He's almost droppable in most leagues. I got Darryl Mooney at 37. And on the other side of the ball, I got Deontay Johnson, the one big bright spot, number 11 on the wide receiver rankings. Then down to 30 for Chase Claypool. And looking at the tight end position here, Pittsburgh has a new guy, Pat Freiermuth. Eric Ebron out last game. Pat Freiermuth had some toe drag swag going on in that game. Number 16 on the rankings. I'm not sure we can count on a Cole Kmet, but he might be good for a touchdown at number 17 on the rankings. I'm going to take the better defense in this one. I'm going to take the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago, and again, Allen Robinson, he looks good and then he doesn't. That was my issue in Jacksonville. When he got hurt in week 1, that's the year they went to the AFC Championship game. Their best receiver, and they did better without him. Chicago can't afford this. They don't have Anthony Miller anymore. That didn't work. Their running backs, they had Jordan Howard, right? Tariq Cohen, they tried a bunch of things. Those things didn't work. They've had about 37 quarterbacks in the last 3 years. None of that's worked, but I think Justin Fields will be the future. I do. They've had different guys, Jimmy Graham and whatnot. Now Cole Kmet at tight end. That hasn't outright worked. Chicago, offensively, they tried to put it on the fact, we got a coach from the CFL and it didn't work out. No, it didn't work out because it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out for Chicago. And I'm not a fan of Chicago's offense right now. Now, Justin Fields, he's a quarterback 2 for me this week. Khalil Herbert, he's a flex for you. Outside of that, have a great day. Pittsburgh, Najee Harris is worth the play. I learned my lesson. Najee Harris is worth the play. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, flex. Pat Freiermuth was the freaking tight end that the Jacksonville Jaguars would have had if they didn't go Travis Etienne. There was the notion, the mock drafts, that they went with him. And they've had trouble at tight end forever, it seems like. And look at this right now. Freiermuth, look at what he's doing. Look at what he is. He's the brightest bright spot arguably on the Steelers offense right now. So yes, play Freiermuth. And yes, go Pitt. And I've seen them in a lot of primetime games. And I saw him squeak one out last week. I'm a fan of Pitt right now. I'm liking what Pitt's doing. I'm liking their fantasy value more. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm sorry to my nephew Noah, but I have a very special message to Noah that's coming up in a second. So please accept my apologies, Noah, as I know you're a Bears fan. Now, Mike, final note here, or final question we're going to answer here, unless anything else comes up. Mike B said, should I pick up Mike White and hope for another big week since Rodgers is out?
Well, I mean, what's the other option? What's the alternative? I mean, I think Mike White's going to have a respectable week, but, he's going to surprise people. But see, you got to understand, it's based all about level of expectation. Nobody expected Mike White to throw for 405 yards. Now there's tape on him. Now he's coming into a defense that can more or less adjust for him. So I think Mike White, maybe in a daily situation on a wild GPP, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle again. But I got Mike White ranked number 27 this week, so I don't know what the alternative you have is. But he might be worth a stash. I mean, in a deeper league, in a dynasty situation where he may get traded. I mean, who knows? Maybe we're talking Mike White, quarterback in the Saints next year. We don't know. The guy finally got on the field and finally got a chance to show what he could do. The guy who went to South Florida, then had to sit out a year, then blossomed at Western Kentucky. He didn't surprise his teammates. His teammates were all supportive and knew they're saying he's a dog. He might be better than Zach Wilson. He played better than Zach Wilson's played all year. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, so like Mike said, what's the alternative? If you got a guy out and you got a starter, and like we said before, though, there's film out on him now. But if you got a guy out, if you got a starter, he's playing the Colts, their defense isn't that good, well, then why not? Depending on who you have on your bench.
There's 26 other guys I have ranked higher than him. So,
right.
Hopefully it doesn't come down to that. But it's not a bad emergency play. He's not number 34. That's Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And people have been dropping people. Odell Beckham Jr. is in free agency. I'm looking at it right now. So just to let you know, folks, he's there in fantasy free agency to make a note. So appreciate you, and I thank you for this. We did have a question that came in here. Would you trade Justin Jefferson for Nick Chubb?
Wow, that's a good one. Again, it would depend on where I'm at. Am I 3-5? Am I 5-3? I need a little more information about the surroundings. Sounds like a pretty even trade, all things considered, though.
Yeah. So, Rick, feel free to send us more info on it, but that's a tough one for me. I like Justin Jefferson a lot, but it's easier to run the ball than it is to be out there and catch because you're relying on somebody. So I would say I like it. I like the trade straight up, but I definitely like it more than DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. I'll tell you that much. Rick is 3-5.
Yeah, you might have to do something. You might have to get yourself, sometimes you got to shake things up. It doesn't just mean in the locker room of the NFL team. Sometimes it's for your fantasy roster as well.
Yeah, so we like the trade. Do it. Nick Chubb, bring him in. And for Justin Jefferson, we like it. Mike, as always, I appreciate it. Week 9 of fantasy football. You can check us out on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as facebook.com/livenowdt, where you're watching and listening. You can listen directly on our streaming radio on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. That's mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and on the homepage wakeupcalldt.com every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can search the archives and get these shows on Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, and MixLR that has the live feed and an immediate archive right after the show. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these platforms, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Mike, we did get a note here in on the quarterback situation, so I want to answer Michael B's question. He said Derek Carr, Jordan Love, Teddy Bridgewater, and Matt Ryan are on the waiver list.
Yeah, I might consider Derek Carr, even though he had, Ruggs just disappeared. Darren Waller's coming back. I got Derek Carr ranked number 14 this week, so I think Derek Carr might be a better option.
Yeah, I like Derek Carr or Teddy Bridgewater from that list. So, but Teddy's playing Dallas, so I would say Derek Carr. He's playing the Giants. Better move for you. I know people want to jump in on Mike White because you want to be the first one to say that you were right about picking him up. But again, it's one game. It's one game. So, Michael, we would say, I think Mike and I are in agreement. Go with Derek Carr if you had to make a choice off that list. With that being said, Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com for Mr. Mike Sofka. And of course, here with us in the extended Fantasy Football Power Hour every Wednesday from 9:45 to at least 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets life. Make sure you check us out here, and make sure you check out the Wildcat Sports Pub when you're in town in Camillus, New York, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, 7 days a week, and for takeout and delivery, 315-487-2222. Join us on the Winning Fantasy Football group on Facebook, which is free and easy. And Mike, as always, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. I look forward to talking with you next week.
All right, sounds good. Mike and I getting a very eventful week thanks to you, and sadly, with Calvin Ridley's information coming out, as well as Michael Thomas's, and with everything that's happened with Aaron Rodgers here. So some sad news here this morning, but God willing, these players and coaches and families and everybody will navigate through this together, and we'll find a way to be okay. We will. We'll be okay. So I have a final note. And before I make that final note, I have to let you know a couple things. But I do have a special message today for a special person, special family in my life. And I'm saving that for last. So let me do this first. Fins up here, folks. Lemoyne Dolphins. We are the proud multimedia marketing partner of the Lemoyne Dolphins at Lemoyne College. The first multimedia marketing partner in the history of Lemoyne College is Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. What that means is every Wednesday is Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You will get on the first and third Wednesday AD and DT, where I sit down with Athletics Director Bob Beretta on a specific topic for each episode, and we get to share that time with you and with the leadership of Lemoyne. And every second and fourth Wednesday, Dolphin Dive dives into student athletes, coaches, and staff's stories at Lemoyne College and why they chose to be a Dolphin and what it means to them. So make sure you check out their journeys every second and fourth Wednesday. And of course, throughout the month, always doing special stuff with the Lemoyne Dolphins on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Find out more information and get our archive of specials with the Dolphins by going right now to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com and bookmarking and saving that. And you can also get more information at LemoyneDolphins.com. Pacer Pride, baby. Those Marywood University Pacers, we are also the proud multimedia marketing partner of. And the first in the history of Marywood University as well is Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora being the multimedia marketing partner of Marywood University and Marywood University Pacers. Big shout out to the Pacers as we bring you Pacer Pride specials exclusive all throughout every single month. And of course, you can get the archive of those by going to wakeupcalldt.com's Marywood tab, and the Marywood Pacers. You can find out more information by going to marywoodpacers.com, and of course check out our social media when we share different things with the Pacers at wakeupcalldt on Facebook, at calldt on Twitter, and at wakeupcall_DT on Instagram. And if you want to see me emceeing the Marywood basketball tip-off dinner, I just aired a video on our timeline on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. I'll be sharing that to more places, and it's also been added to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Shout out to the Pacers, and of course, as always, Pacer Pride. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora would also like to thank all of our Central and Upstate New York partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Progressive Dental, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the Millhouse Market, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, PB&J's Lunchbox, and Mother's Cupboard. So special thanks to each and every single one of you. And with all of that being stated, it is now time for me to send a very special message to a very special person and a very special family. So forgive me today as my allergies have affected my throat a little bit. So I'm going to take one of these Ricolas while I do this. But I would like to say, and I'm going to try to find the words. Yesterday evening, I had the opportunity to celebrate a birthday. And that birthday that I got to celebrate is my niece, Ariana, or Ari for short. Ariana is 2 years old. And I held her when she was just born, and she was great. And I held her yesterday at 2, and she was so calm and so sweet and smiling and looking at her brother and having a great time. I feel very blessed to be an uncle. I don't have any biological brothers and sisters, yet I've been made an uncle at this time, I think, to 14 kids or something insane. And Johnny and Aaron have made me an uncle to Sequoia, Dakota, Noah, and Ari. They've also made me an uncle to their dogs, Chloe and Remy. Yesterday night, as Johnny wanted me to FaceTime for Ari's birthday, I was talking to him about something that had come up before, which is the opportunity for me to be a godfather to one of their children. And we were talking about it, and Aaron kind of looked at Johnny, and I said, oh, like, is it too late for me to be a godfather? And they said, well, Noah's getting baptized on November 14th. And I said, okay, well, it's already November, so obviously, like, I'm not the godfather. And Aaron said, well, what would make you think that? And I was like, well, nobody said anything to me. And she kind of looks at Johnny, and she's like, whispering to Johnny. And Johnny starts talking to me about this. And he said, well, what are you doing? Are you in town? And I said, I am. And I said to Aaron, I said, well, I must be the first alternate godfather, though, because it's less than 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, if you had wanted me to do it, you know, I figured, you know, you guys probably would have asked me in advance. I don't know if there's anything I have to do to prepare. And they're like, no, we do want you to do it. And Johnny said to me, he goes, I was going to call you before your show on Wednesday, which was today. He's like, but I didn't want to throw you off. And I told him I probably would have, you know, gotten on the show hysterically crying. So last night, I got asked to be Noah's godfather. Now, Noah is, I believe, 6 right now. And his birthday's in June, late June. And so we're both Spider-Man fans. We're both big-time Venom fans. And I love the kid. I love him as if he was my own. We have the same toys. I said to Johnny, I go, what should I get Noah for his birthday? He goes, well, get him like the smaller version of whatever you get for yourself, or like the kid version. And I was like, so just get him what I get because I get the kid version of all this stuff. So Noah and I have a lot in common. We've gotten along forever. And I got asked yesterday to be Noah's godfather. I've wanted to be a godfather for so long. You know, I've wanted so badly to have the opportunity to have that role in someone's life and to have made an impact on someone's life that they trust me, you know, to really live up to a standard that's higher than normal. And Johnny said to me, he goes, there's nobody else. And I was like, oh, gee, thanks. And he goes, no, you don't get it. There's nobody else that we would rather have do it. And saying those words to me, I don't know what to say. You know, Johnny looked me in the eye on FaceTime and he said to me, God forbid anything happens to me, I know you'll take care of my son. I have chills saying that right now. And the fact that, I don't have any biological brothers and sisters, but yet Johnny and I have become brothers, and Erin has become my sister, and all of these kids and the dogs have become my family, and their families become my family. I helped Johnny's mom clean out her house. I've been around, Erin's parents at soccer games, and Johnny, just so you know, I really wanted to come to that soccer game, and I couldn't for Noah here recently. Timing, I couldn't. And so for me, I love Noah. I love that kid, again, like he was my own son. I've loved him forever. And a story comes to my mind, and if you'll oblige me to spend this extra time with you today, because this is important to me. A story comes to mind when I think of Noah. So I was at the house one night, and it was around 8 o'clock. And Noah was going to bed. This pre-COVID. Can't wait to say post-COVID. It's garbage of the last 2 years. And Noah gives everybody a hug, right? So he hugs his mom, hugs his dad, he's getting ready for bed. So he comes over to me and gives me a hug. Love you, Uncle Dan. I said, love you too, buddy. And he runs out of the room. And a few minutes later, he runs back into the room and he goes, Uncle, and if you know Noah, he has so much of a personality. And he looks at me and he goes, Uncle Dan, I forgot to give you a kiss. And he's like, and he runs over to me and he gives me a kiss and gives me a kiss on the cheek. And then he says, good night. And I said, good night, buddy. So I'm like in my, I'm on cloud 9 right now. This kid's amazing. And I go to get in my car and I hear this little voice a while later. And he's still up. He's still awake. And I hear, Uncle Dan? And I go, yeah, buddy. And I look up and there's a light on his room and there's a silhouette of this little boy. This little, like, in my mind, perfect kid. And I know no kid's perfect, but listen, I love my nephew. And he says, Uncle Dan, and I go, yeah, buddy. He goes, you have a good night, okay? And I'm literally like, okay, but like I'm like ready to friggin' bawl my eyes out. And I go, you too, buddy. I love you. He goes, I love you too. Well, that kid, I get to be his godfather. And I said to Johnny and Erin, I said, if this is what you really want, I'll do it. Of course I'll do it. 1,000,000 times yes. But I said, I want to talk to Noah. So I was on FaceTime with Noah yesterday and I said, hey, buddy. He said, hey. I said, do you want me to be your godfather? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, then I'll do it. And while I was FaceTiming, I was very close by. So I said, you know what? I'm going to head over there. So I headed over to the house. I said, hey, Johnny, why don't you look out your window? So I got to see Ari on her birthday, which I didn't get to do last year because of COVID. I got to see Remy. Love that dog. Love you too, Chloe. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Got to see Erin in the window. Got to see Johnny. And I got to see my nephew on the day that I got asked to be his godfather. So I am honored. I am privileged. I have fought back tears this entire time I've talked about it. And you're right, Greg. Greg said, congrats, DT, a very special honor. I'm sure you're honored and proud. I am so happy for the first time ever to bring out one of my impressions and to know that for the rest of my life and beyond,
I'm so happy in this moment to be the godfather of a one boy they call Noah. They built an ark a long time ago. I don't know if he did it, somebody else did it, I don't know. But I'm very happy that I get to be this young man's godfather. That I will cherish him as if he is my own son. And I will take care of him and look after him because, of course, what is life if not for the family?
So with that being said, for the first time ever, my godfather impression is connected to being a godfather in real life. Johnny just said you have a godson. Yes, I do. and it's a godsend, and he is a godsend. To Johnny, to Aaron, to your families, to Dakota, to Sequoia, to Noah, to Ari, to Chloe, and to Remy. You are my family. I love you all beyond my words tremendously. And I cannot wait to officially be Noah's godfather. And I'm happy that you already honor me by being his uncle. I love you all. I thank you all. And I bid you adieu on Wake Up Call for the first time ever as a godfather.
I'm so happy for this moment. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. I got cotton balls in my mouth. I can't even, Marlon Brando put the cotton balls in, so he couldn't speak and talk like that. And I'm so happy. But I'm so happy that I might cry. Okay? Thank you.
So, God bless, no stress, do your best. You know what to do on social media, YouTube, and all the good stuff. I love you, Noah. I'm so happy to be your godfather. Aaron, Johnny, you gave me one of the single greatest blessings of my life, and I will never be able to thank you enough for this. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon.